Today is career day at school. Mrs. Ramirez has invited many different people who do many different things throughout the community to come and speak with her kindergarten class. The students are especially excited because they get to meet these different people and find out what they do in their different jobs. The first person Mrs. Ramirez introduces is a man wearing a thick brown and yellow striped suit. On top of his head, he has a helmet. The man is named Mr. Bright, and he is a firefighter. Mr. Bright explains that as a firefighter, one of his main jobs is to stop fires from spreading and from happening. One of the kindergarten students, named Jenna, raised her hand. "Yes, Jenna," said Mrs. Ramirez. "Why does Mr. Bright have to wear such a heavy suit? It doesn't look comfortable, and it looks like it would slow him down." "Great question, Jenna," said Mr. Bright. "This suit is specially designed for our safety. It helps repel fires and is fire resistant." Next, Mrs. Ramirez introduced Mrs. Gomez, who was wearing navy-colored uniform pants and a uniform shirt. She had a badge on her uniform shirt and a walkie-talkie on her belt. "Hi everyone," said Mrs. Gomez. "I am a police officer. We do a variety of different things to help out our community. Our main goal is to help keep the community safe." Michael raised his hand. "Yes, Michael," said Mrs. Ramirez. "Do you have a question for Mrs. Gomez?" "Yes," said Michael. "Mrs. Gomez, isn't it scary to keep the community safe?" "It can be, but we are trained and are prepared to help keep the community safe." "Thank you for your question and concern, Michael," said Mrs. Gomez. Mrs. Ramirez then introduced Mrs. Diamante, who was wearing a long white coat with matching light blue scrubs. "Hi everyone," said Mrs. Diamante. "I am a doctor. In my job, my goal is to help you feel better. I do this by helping see what's wrong with your body and how you're feeling. Based on that information, I can do a diagnosis and see what will help you feel better." Jaylene raised her hand. "Yes, Jaylene," said Mrs. Ramirez. "I want to help people feel better too. I think I want to become a doctor, like Mrs. Diamante." Finally, Mrs. Ramirez stood in front of the class. "Hi, class. Everyone already knows who I am. I am a teacher. My job is to help each and every one of you to learn and advance academically. I am so excited to see you learn and grow as each day passes by." Ricardo raised his hand. "Yes, Ricardo," said Mrs. Ramirez. "Thank you, Mrs. Ramirez, for teaching us and helping us learn. Today we learned a lot about the different jobs that people can have and what they do in their jobs. Thank you, Mrs. Ramirez." And with that, our career day has finished. Thank you for coming to our career